Francis clicked it. And though it was too dark to see what was going on, I could hear something in the background. Turn up the volume.
It's a muffled...
Francis did as commanded.
You know, I've always been the technically savvy guy in the family. And I can remember a time when I thought to myself, I kind of had it all figured out. So, my wife did a purchase for a swing set a little while back from a website that turned out to be a scam website. It didn't appear too much out of the ordinary because my wife and I hunt for deals quite often, and we end up finding quite deep discounts on a lot of stuff, to tell you the truth. And at one point we were looking for a swing set for my nephew. Well, it turned out that there was a website that had one available in stock left for half price, which everybody was out of stock. Now, they were on sale on various other sites for almost double what it costed on this specific site. But because there was one left, I guess it created a false sense of urgency with us, so we pulled the trigger before we investigated, even though it was a site that we had never ordered from before. After finding out a little bit later that we weren't getting the product and digging a little bit, apparently it was a scam website that even provided fake UPS delivery receipts and tracking numbers and things like that, to where we couldn't get our money back through contesting it on PayPal, and lesson hard learned. A little bit later, I decided that I wanted to do an investigation on a site called Wish. Well, the ads always pop up in my Instagram feed and on Facebook and things like that about Wish, to buy stuff on Wish. So there was some products that were on sale on Wish for 50 cents, okay? And they ranged from all sorts of stuff. You could get digital tablets, 50 cents and stuff like that. And I knew better. So this is what I decided to do. I decided that I was going to spend $2.50 and buy 5 different items from Wish and check them out. And while I didn't really document what was going on, I received 4 items and 1 I never did receive. I ordered a tablet for 50 cents that I did not get. I ordered a shirt for 50 cents, which I did get, but it was grossly undersized. It was very, very cheap material. So I figured, and it was a name brand shirt, but it's clearly a knockoff, all right? I ended up checking out a ball pit for my nephew, as well as a city street map for my nephew so that he could play with his cars on it. And both of those actually came in good. The ball pit did not have its balls, but it was still a small ball pit that we had a lot of fun with and to enjoy. And last but not least, the masks that I ordered were actually foam cutouts of masks that didn't provide any protection at all and pretty much fell apart when you separated them. It was a 3-pack that came in a little cellophane. It was very weird. So not everything is what it seems on the internet, especially when it comes to places like the dark web. And if you aren't really technologically savvy in this day and age and you get into something like this, you could get in a lot of trouble or get scammed out of a lot of money. You got to be very, very careful with your privacy and your information and what sites that you navigate to nowadays and who you give your money to especially. And today is going to be a dark web story to teach us another lesson about a family that wasn't the most technologically savvy. So check out Dr. No Sleep, guys. Make sure to hit his subscribe button and his notification bell. And if you like reaction videos like this, make sure to subscribe to this channel as well. Let's get into the animation.
To be perfectly honest, I was never into all that dark web stuff.
Right?
I mean, it's interesting enough and all, but I never had the patience nor technological know-how to figure out how to use it productively.
Right.
In fact, my whole family seems to be missing the technology genes. We struggled with everything from computers and phones to toasters and microwaves.
Microwaves?
My mother even got scammed a few times before she passed away.
I mean,
luckily, she never lost anything more than a few $100, but
right.
It still stung. Francis, my best friend, on the other hand, was a tech whiz. He loved that stuff and never shied away from looking up the most bizarre and horrific things online. If he could reach it, he would.
Now, I gotta tell you, as a surfer of the internet and somebody that goes down a bunch of rabbit holes, which is why I started doing reactions in the first place. The animation rabbit hole is the one I went down. you see all sorts of things, right? You really do. And a lot of these videos and things that are available to see kind of recommend other content that they think you might be interested in, thanks to all the wonderful algorithms in the world. So I don't know exactly how the dark web works, but if anything like that exists on the dark web to redirect you to certain places, it can send you down some pretty deep pipes that you might not want to go down. If I'm reading this correctly, it's going to get pretty dark real soon.
He even tried to set up a Tor browser on my computer once, but I just ended up ignoring it, somehow deleting the shortcut and losing track of where he placed it.
Okay.
Still, he'd periodically send me pictures from A.L.I.C.I.A, which is apparently some dark web black market. It was mostly strange or illegal products.
Right.
Other times he'd find impossible random conspiracies. It was usually weird and funny stuff.
Right.
But sometimes he'd send me darker things. Pictures of murder victims. Videos displaying horrific car crashes and other accidents. It made me appreciate our friendship a little less, but Francis was all round a good guy.
Right.
Albeit an eccentric one.
Yeah, he's just into stuff.
We stuck together. On the rare occasions that he crossed a line, I'd just politely asked him to stop.
Right.
Which would work for a while. Then after the shock had worn off, he'd send more stuff he found on the dark web. It would always start off so innocent, with funny pictures or forums.
Right.
But it inevitably got darker, escalating to more disturbing areas of the dark web. The most horrific thing he ever sent me, however, was little more than a picture of myself.
So, when you got a friend that likes to overshare, I'm pretty good at being direct and tactful at the same time. And because I have a little bit of online fame, I have gotten direct messages from people that I barely knew to people that I really knew well. That everything from things that I didn't want to hear, or advice that I didn't want to hear or didn't need, all the way to images and websites that were really, really offensive, you know. And I from what I hear, women get a lot of inappropriate things too. As soon as you show your pretty face online, you get a bunch of inappropriate messages, usually on social media and stuff like that. I have some friends that have been victims of a bunch of unnecessary sharing. Let's call it unwanted sharing, you know. And well, I think we all have a friend that sends us something every once in a while. Remember when chain letters were big? Or these Facebook things? I don't like Facebook that much. But there's a lot of things that you won't reply to this if you know, believe in the First Amendment or believe in the Second Amendment, or, you know, want to see MSNBC taken down or Fox News taken down. It's all this crazy stuff that you see, you know. Like, I just ignore that stuff. But some people are really compelled by statements like that, and that's what draws them in, you know. And I think curiosity, or the lack of being able to tell people to stop, or effectively tell them to stop, gets you into positions like he's in right now.
Found randomly out there in the sea of onion sites. It was just a screenshot he'd sent, with a picture of myself, and some text lined up next to it. In a way, it looked like a profile for some sort of social media page.
Right.
But it was plain, simple, and seemingly pointless.
Like an information.
It contained my name, birth date, address, everything. "I'm so sorry, Tyler. I didn't know how they found you," Francis sent me as a message.
Who?
What do you mean? Who are they? What's going on?
Right.
I asked back in a flood of questions. "Did you open any suspicious emails or sign up for something weird online?" I tried to think back. I couldn't remember anything that stood out. But in my business, I dealt with hundreds of emails each day from various clients.
Right.
"I don't know, Francis. What's going on?" "Your name is on A.L.I.C.I.A, listed as a participant."
Okay.
What the hell is A.L.I.C.I.A?
Yeah.
A red room. It was supposed to be closed down, but it's back.
Oh, red rooms are the murder rooms. Or the
I wasn't much of a tech genius, but even I knew red rooms were little more than myths told to scare teenagers and gullible adults.
I don't know.
Come on, man, this is a joke, right? Red rooms aren't real. I think this one is. After that, I'd reached the maximum amount of Francis antics that I could handle.
Yeah.
I told him to back off and leave me alone for a bit, which had become somewhat of a routine between the two of us.
Right.
Still, I took his warning serious enough to dial the non-emergency line to the police.
There you go.
I explained the situation, but they didn't take it seriously.
Of course not.
After all, my personal information leaked on a website shouldn't have been much of a threat.
Yeah.
They just told me to call back if anything more substantial happened.
And there's not really anything you can do when you do find your information like that online if it's not from a reputable website. I think that you could probably request some sort of, I don't know, deletion if it was a reputable website that cared about customer privacy, because there's a bunch of privacy laws, you know. But, I mean, this is a dark website or a deep website. None of these sites are regulated or anything like that. So, I don't know. You know, it's like you can't really call the police when a drug deal goes bad, right? The dark web is an unregulated thing, you know?
I went about my week and nothing came of the mysterious website.
All right.
Francis even admitted he might have overreacted a tad. Truth is, most people have their email information leaked somewhere else. Even passwords and personal details are readily available all over the place.
It's true.
But for most people, that's just useless information.
Right.
Then about a month later, I received a letter in my mail. It didn't have a return address, nor any stamps. It was just a plain envelope put in my mailbox.
Somebody dropped it off.
The only way I could have received it would be if someone had personally delivered it themselves.
Or if the mailman was in on it.
I opened the letter to find a perfectly black paper inside, with little more than a single line of text in the middle. It was just a string of random numbers and letters, ending in .onion, to mark the fact that it was a dark web page.
Okay.
At first, I didn't even connect the dots. I had long since forgotten the fact that all my personal details had been leaked. Instead of just throwing it away as I should have, I decided to contact Francis.
Okay.
He was more intrigued than worried, showing up about 15 minutes later to help me connect to the website. He only needed about a second to dig up the Tor browser and input the onion link I'd received.
Right.
Shit, he mumbled as the title of the site popped up. It was A.L.I.C.I.A. That's the site that has my name? I asked to be sure. Francis nodded. A few seconds passed as the site loaded, before a black video player popped up in the center of the screen. It didn't have a timer or anything else to let us know the duration of the video.
It's a live stream?
Instead, it just had a play button.
Okay.
Francis clicked it. And though it was too dark to see what was going on, I could hear something in the background. Turn up the volume.
It's a muffled...
Francis
Somebody
did as
gagged.
commanded, and we were greeted with the muffled sounds of someone struggling. It was quiet, just loud enough to make out what was going on without understanding the hidden context. Then it got brighter.
So his participation in the Red Room is not as a victim. It's actually someone that wants to watch what happens in the Red Room.
Just enough to make out the walls and ceiling of a small room. In the center lay a man tied to a bed with chains,
In a bag.
his face obscured by a bag pulled over his head.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is this? I asked. It's a red room. Turn that shit off. Francis was reluctant to oblige, whether it be due to curiosity or shock. Before I could reach out and turn it off myself, a man entered the picture.
With blood on
He
his
was
chest?
naked, with his bare chest covered in old scars and fresh blood. He pulled the mask off of the tied-up man, and I let out a loud gasp. What is it?
It looks like him?
Francis said.
Or does he know him?
I pointed a trembling finger towards the screen. That's Mr. Dawson, my boss.
Oh, no!
You're sure? I nodded. Is this a live stream or something? No, I don't think so. As far as I know, you can't live stream on the dark web. It has to be a recording.
Okay.
I wanted so desperately just to turn it off and call the police, but we were both frozen in our seats.
You should have called the police and
The
kept
naked
it
man
on.
pulled out a knife
Oh
from a
my
bag on
God,
the ground
dude.
and started peeling off pieces of skin from Dawson's leg.
Oh!
He tried to scream in agony, but he was gagged, left unable to move or even call for help. Little by little, The man cut off pieces of flesh from Dawson, moving his way from the legs to the torso.
A sound!
Can't say exactly how long the video went on for. It skipped minutes at the time, showing Dawson at progressively more mutilated stages of the torture.
Oh my God, man.
It wasn't until his skin had been almost completely removed before he lost consciousness. I threw up.
I guess so.
Finally snapping back to reality as the screen turned black. Francis sat speechless in his chair. What could we do? Dawson had to have been dead by the time we even opened the link. Naturally, I called the police and gave them all the information about the website that I had. But by the time the police got around to checking it out, the video was gone. Once it had been viewed, it was simply removed.
Dang.
They believed us, though, saying that they'd forward the information to the appropriate sources, which turned out to be the FBI.
Why don't you check with his boss?
There was little more I could do. Without solid evidence that my boss had actually died, he was just reported missing while the investigation went on.
So he was reported missing.
I was questioned by various officers and an FBI agent a couple of times, but that was about it. A year passed, and my life went on. My place of work just hired a new manager, and Dawson's disappearance remained an unsolved mystery. I fully believed that would be the end of it. I thought the horrors I'd witnessed would be a one-time occurrence, that I would be fine.
Oh, no.
During that time, I also drifted away from Francis. We weren't even able to look at each other in the eyes anymore. Not after what we'd seen together.
I wonder if Francis had anything to do with...
Everything changed, as I got another letter in the mail.
Uh-oh.
It was unmarked, without an address, just
Naturally.
like before. That
Oh,
time,
no, it's
however,
Francis.
I didn't hesitate to call the police.
Francis in
I
the
already knew
in the
what would
room?
be inside, and I wasn't about to ruin another piece of evidence. The police redirected me to the responsible FBI agent who was working the case.
Right.
He was quick to act, coming to pick me up within the hour alongside 3 armed agents.
Right.
Mr. Larkin, I'm Agent Vance. We need you to come with us, he said before they rushed me inside the car as if my life depended on it.
Right.
They took me to an office building in the middle of the city and made me wait in an interrogation room while they checked out the evidence. I sat there with a cup of water, 100 thoughts running through my mind. An hour passed before Agent Vance came to check up on us.
So crazy, dude.
He looked upset, but had put on a brave face to talk to me. We checked out the link in your envelope. Found a video like the one you described last time.
Francis, though.
We've taken some still shots of the footage. I'd like it if you could help identify the victim.
Damn.
I shuddered at the
It's
thought,
Francis, dude.
but agreed to help. Vance guided me into a room full of computers. A group of office workers sat in front of one, staring
That's
at a
his
picture,
friend.
trying to figure out who the person was. They didn't need to analyze it any further,
Gah.
because I knew exactly who it was. Francis. He looked absolutely horrified. The still picture showing him clearly alive.
Right.
For how long that would last, I didn't know. Is he... I began to ask. He didn't survive, I'm sorry.
God damn.
Vance interjected, knowing what I wanted to ask. How did he die? It's better you don't know the details.
Yeah.
But we're going to catch this guy, I promise you that much. Again, we went over each and every detail. They promised over and over they'd do everything in their power to chase down the people doing it.
So, what I'm not getting here is that at the beginning, we heard that Francis was very sharey. You know, he always wanted to share something. He was into the dark web. And this guy's entire family wasn't really computer savvy. Neither was he. Does it possibly link all back to Francis, how Francis may have gotten him involved in it in the first place? Because when he called Francis at first, Francis seemed like he was intrigued. He wasn't scared, you know? It was like this one big adventure for him, you know? And now, because he got involved, maybe it got too deep and he actually got pulled in.
And to keep me safe. But as weeks turned into months, no culprit was caught. Eventually, I stopped working. Instead, I just hid at home, afraid that anyone remotely close to me might be next. I didn't have much in terms of family. No siblings. My parents had long since died.
Okay.
I suppose that made me an easy target for the runners of the Red Room. Despite the FBI's best efforts, the letters kept coming with random intervals. My ex-girlfriend was the next victim. Though we'd broken up a few years earlier, we'd remained friendly. Again, I got the link to a video of her brutal murder. I just forwarded it to the FBI, unable to stomach another horror show.
Good Lord, man.
Then they took one of my old co-workers. One by one, they killed the people I knew and loved.
I don't know if this is Francis
to stop it. I couldn't even contact the culprits and ask what the hell they wanted from me.
Right.
But then it hit me. I was being tortured. And while it wasn't physical like the others, it was still mental torture.
Yep.
Like the horrors they'd committed to my friends. The pain wouldn't end until I was dead. Maybe that's what they so desperately wanted.
Oh my God.
For me to kill myself. Maybe it was some sort of sick game to see how long I could last. I sat down in front of my computer, ready to give up. If there was even the slightest chance that it would save lives, I had to do it. I looked up the best ways to do it, but in the end, I decided to go for the gun.
No.
I picked it up, pressed it against my temple. I felt like hours passed. I just couldn't bring myself to pull the trigger, without letting every possible scenario run through my mind.
Right.
Then the phone rang. I almost dropped the gun in shock. I glanced at my phone to see a call incoming from an unknown number.
I bet it's them.
Hello? I asked as I picked it up.
Not like that.
A twisted robotic voice said from the other side. Not like what? Who are you?
You need to record it properly.
The voice continued. Whoever they were using some kind of voice-changing software to make them unrecognizable.
That's the dark web people.
How did you... I began before noticing the camera on my computer. Of course they'd been watching. I didn't even need to ask. I just stared at the camera, and the mysterious person on the other end confirmed.
That's right. We've been watching you.
But why?
I felt my heart drop.
Why him?
So all I have to do is kill myself and the suffering ends?
Yes. Face the camera when you do it. You have 15 minutes, or the next person will be taken.
Wow.
I didn't have any other options. I can't let anyone else die because of me.
It's not because of you. You're a victim, man.
Stop.
God dang! That's horrible! Oh my God, I got this twisted, sick feeling in my stomach. To rationalize that it's not your fault, that you're just being targeted, does not change the fact that you know that you can make it stop. Wow, man. That is some dark shit, yo. God, dog. Death by suicide is tragic in itself, but it's even worse when you feel like you're cornered and that's the only choice because other people are gonna be hurt. What a rough story, man. Yeah. That one hit hard, man. Dr. No Sleep. Great animation, great story. Make sure to check him out right here, as well as a couple other videos that are reacted to him from here, guys. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off, and we'll see you next time.